Coming to you live from the Sound System Studios, Dallas, Texas.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
I don't care if I never get...
Holy cow!
Baby water!
You are now listening to On Deck with your host, Josh Smith.
Hello and welcome. It is On Deck. I am your host, Josh Smith. Another great edition. Got some great news coming your way here in just a few moments. And boy, doesn't it seem like it was just yesterday? I just did a podcast and it was about to be Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Well, we're already 4 games in. Game 5 tomorrow night. We'll recap the first 4 games. College World Series, baby. Elite 8 is underway right now. My Hoggies and Virginia Cavaliers heading to, I should say already in Omaha, and they're heading to battle right now. Triple Crown, yes, it has finally been achieved. We can talk about American Pharoah. I called that one. Yes, I did. And Women's World Cup. Can you believe it? Some people not watching it near as much as the men's last year, but certainly still great to see USA playing atop of the competition. And have to talk a little bit about my man. Yes, it is Tiger Woods shooting an 85. Man, can you believe that? He shot an 85 last weekend? Well, he did. His career worst. 380th overall. We'll get into some Tiger news here in just a bit. But first, the great news. Guess what? I am working for ESPN Dallas, ESPN 103.3, and KCTK, The Ticket, 96.7. So, listen for your man, Josh Smith. I'll be getting all the Cowboys reports coming fall, and of course, actually come summer. August, I'll be out there 2-3 times a week, twice a day, getting reports for your Cowboys. So, if you need any news on your Cowboys, you want any updates, you know who to come to now. Hopefully we'll see where this evolves and what's it get into, what all I'll be doing over the next few months and hopefully next few years here in Dallas. But broke into the door. Now I'm underway. Got everything that I ever wanted, hopefully and more, as the future progresses. Now let's get back to the finals. Of course, you can see I'm amped up. I'm sure as time goes on, too, you'll see me slow down a bit. But, hey, this is my one show a week. I'm going to be amped up. I'm ready to go. It's sports, baby. That's what we're all about. Us men, especially this day and age, we're surrounded by it. And me especially. So let's get into the finals. I can't take it. It's all LeBron. It's all LeBron. Where are the Warriors at? I didn't really like the series so far and really haven't. To me, my honest opinion, I just haven't liked it. It's been sloppy. Game, what was it, 2 or 3 of the 5? I think it was game 2. There was literally 29 total points scored in the third quarter. The third quarter alone, 15 points from the Cavs, 14 from the Warriors, equaling 29 total points in the third quarter of game 2. That's terrible. Are these players tired? The bright lights get to the Warriors? It surely seems so. So let's break it down on each side. Game 1, it slowed down. You can see, as I told you I guess it was a little over a week ago now, that's what the Cavs are going to do. They're going to try to break it down where it's just LeBron coming off pick and rolls, where it's him one-on-one on somebody, going ISO, and that's their offense. They don't really have an offense. That's not set plays. Are you kidding me? That's not what won championships back in the day. This is just ISO, one-on-one. I guess that's what we've come to in the NBA. But that's what they want to do. They know if they've got to slow down the Warriors, they've got to play the Cavs game. They don't want to play the Warriors game. They don't want to get up and down the court. They don't have a deep bench. They have tall players. They have a tall lineup. They want to slow it down and play half-court offense, get someone mismatched on LeBron, and then get a rebound and put it back up. And that's what they did amazing the first 3 games. And the start off game 4, they did the same. But game 1, 2, and 3, it was all the Cavs for the most part of the game. Warriors didn't lead after any quarter. The only quarter they led after was after overtime in game 1, and they actually won it, where they just totally dominated. And back to game 1. Kyrie Irving comes out. I thought it was supposed to be 50% and was going to have surgery come off season. Well, that was obviously a fib and a lie, and they were just buttering that up for anyone else that wanted to take it, and most of us did. We didn't think Kyrie was going to be 100%, and surely he was. He wasn't, right? But he was. Oh, and by the way, today's podcast brought to you by the energy drink Delusional. If you still think LeBron's better than Jordan, or if you still think your team has a chance to win the Super Bowl next year, and your mascot's a Raider or a Buccaneer, well, stop and get Delusional for a quick burst of reality. Back to what I was speaking of. Forgot to add that in earlier. That was this week's podcast presentation. That's who we got to sponsor this week. Delusional, baby. Anyway, Kyrie looks fine, right? Well, the first or second series in overtime, they have the ball, first possession or two, I should say. He goes down. Didn't look like it was that bad of a fall, or didn't look like he was going to be too hurt. But boy, he comes up limping like he's really hurt. He's really re-aggravated something. Ends up being a fractured kneecap. Takes a knee from Thompson from the Warriors as Thompson's covering him, guarding him, knees him right on the left side of the left knee, and boy, he just breaks. He falls down. You think, oh God, what happened? Come on, get up. That's a flop from soccer, white boy flop in basketball now. Well, sure enough, supposedly he's done. He is done for the series. So you knew overtime was just tilted. Yeah, they got it to overtime, had a chance to win. LeBron missed a fadeaway jump shot, couldn't get to the basket, didn't want to, I guess. Finally decided to say, hey, I'm tired of doing this drive to the basket stuff I've give him no credit for. Yeah, so what? You're 10 foot, you're huge. Go drive to the basket. I guess that's your only offense. You can't shake and bake somebody, create space, hit a jumper. That's what you need to do. Yeah, you do it throughout the game, but what about when the game is on the line? 2 seconds left. You can't do that, can you? How many shots do we remember, as I said, that Jordan nailed to win games, not only in the NBA Finals, but throughout his career? Something LeBron just doesn't have. So LeBron misses it. There actually was a putback chance by Shumpert. He almost made it. Right on line, just a tad short. Going to overtime, Kyrie Irving goes down. Warriors take over 10-2 run in overtime. The only 2 points came from LeBron in like the last 20 seconds. They just let him have a layup. Otherwise, they wouldn't have scored in overtime. Just destroyed him. So I'm like, okay, this momentum's going to swing into game 2, and they're going to take game 2, right? Certainly. 100% they're going to take game 2. Kyrie's out. Love's been out. They have no chance. Oh, but here comes Dellavedova. How many times do we hear his name? Dellavedova. Look at Dellavedova. Man, that guy's all over the place, and he's playing out of his mind, and that's what his best asset is. Not that he can run fast, set plays up. It is his tenacity and want to. That's his number one, that's his best attribute. Best thing he does. And it makes others play harder and more efficient around him. You see that throughout the first 3 games, and now it's starting to wear down on them. They're starting to all play 10, 20, 15, 20 minutes more than they ever were capable, most likely, of playing, and certainly used to playing throughout the year. Having to have these bench guys step up, and it's all LeBron. You see him the first 3 games averaging 41 points a game, 12 rebounds, 8 assists. Woo! Ridiculous numbers, right? Well, I'd hope so. It's all he got. He's the best player in the world. Michael Jordan probably would have put up 50 points per game in the series against the Suns if he didn't have Pippen, Paxson, Armstrong, all the rest of the guys 100% healthy. So imagine Jordan on a team where he had a fully healthy team against the Suns, no less, Charles Barkley and others that were just all-time greats. He averages 41 points a game with no one hurt. So you'd imagine, okay, LeBron, these people are hurt. He's going to have to score now. He's going to average 35, 40 points per game. I saw that coming. This is no surprise to me. Are y'all serious? Who else is going to score? No one. As you can see in Game 4 when they finally go cold and they're tired. They're worn out. So Game 2 and 3, the Cavs take over. They're more aggressive. They're playing harder. They're hitting harder. Pretty much like it would be like a Ravens or Steelers of the NFL playing the Titans or Buccaneers or Raiders, playing a soft team, smaller team, not as aggressive a team. And you most likely 9 times out of 10, the Ravens, the Pittsburgh Steelers, those type teams are going to win those bang them up because they're going to bang you, and bang you. So come fourth quarter, you're not going to have anything left to go. And especially when you're shooting as terrible as as Steph's been shooting. He kind of comes alive in the fourth quarter now, as of late. But other than that, he was just terrible through the first 3 quarters of all those games, 1 through 3 and 1 through 3, as in 1 through 3 quarters of games 1 through 3. And we get to Game 4. Its momentum starts to swing as the game goes on. You can see the Cavs are just drained. Now they get an extra day, though, to rest. As you can tell, it's obviously, if you're watching, everyone most likely is or already knows, it's 2-2. So you can see after Game 4, they were drained. So what's going to happen in Game 5? Not only are we now leaving Cleveland going back to the West Coast, so they've got to travel, going back to playing some team on the road, a team that is like 45-4 this year, whatever their record is, somewhere right around there, 46-4, I think it is. Ridiculous numbers at home. Are they going to be able to withstand that? They get an extra day of rest, but they do also have to travel on top of that. So that's going to kind of negate some of that rest. We'll see. I'm excited. I have not been this excited for an NBA Finals, really, over the last few years. The Spurs and the Heat, you knew they were going to make it. Yeah, in the Finals, I guess it was kind of like, okay, now who's the best team? So it was a pretty interesting Finals, I guess, per se. But this playoff series itself, just the whole playoff atmosphere has just, it's lasted 2 months. It's been 2 months since we've started the playoffs, pretty much. But it's actually been intriguing throughout. And now the Finals, it's certainly intriguing. Can LeBron do it without any help? And then that's what they're all going to say. All these LeBron naysayers, obviously I'm on more of that end than I am positive, but I'm going to say, hey, yeah, that they're going to say, well, he couldn't do it. He just couldn't do it again. He couldn't come out. But then, of course, the LeBron supporters, in which that's the truth. He doesn't have help. He doesn't have Kyrie Irving. He doesn't have Kevin Love. But my point to both of those are gold medal players. Those aren't just NBA All-Stars as we keep hearing on ESPN. Do y'all forget those are actually gold medal players? They are on a gold medal winning team. Hello? Nobody else went to other teams, go back to other teams. Yeah, I don't care that he was in Miami and went back home to Cleveland. That's fine. You left Cleveland to begin with to go to another team that had 2 NBA All-Star / gold medal winners. Now you're going to another team that has 2 NBA All-Star / gold medal winners? Come on. It just blows my mind to think the people that are out there still thinking LeBron's better than Jordan. He's great. He is huge. Imagine, though, Michael Jordan, what he did if he was 6'8", 6'9", and weighed 250, 60. And he would be destroying the league today. Even at his size back then, which was a great 6'6", 215, 220. But imagine 6'8", 6'9", 260. Not even close. But still, great NBA Finals. We'll see what Game 5's hold. Of course, I said the Warriors in 6, maybe 7. It does look like it may go to 7 now because both teams you could tell they're spent. They're a little tired. Both teams, even the Warriors. But maybe they found their mojo back. They found the right lineup. Because I kept saying that. You're doing that ISO with LeBron. You're just creating, and they kept showing every time, you're creating a wide open lane. They're spacing out, leaving the lane wide open. I kept saying, go to zone. Go to a 2-3 zone. You know if that was Coach K or Coach anyone in the NBA, or I should say in college ranks, they're going to a zone. You're going immediately to a zone if that man's killing you. The zone's available now in the NBA. Why aren't we running it? Or, if anything, double team immediately, which they started to pick up a different defense, and they went to that route. It's like, the zone's for college. It's so funny. Like, pro teams, like, the zone's for college. We can't go that route. We're just not going to touch it. That's for rookies. That's just for, amateurs. No, that's the win. As you can see, the hack of whoever, that's a stupid strategy that is literally, I think, high school level thinking. I think you can go to zone to literally say, hey, you have no presence coming in here on the inside. Let me see you beat me shooting the ball because you have no shooters. So go on, shoot all day long, and look what LeBron's shooting. The whole team itself, it's one of the worst shooting performances outside the paint, the circle. I should say this, the paint, literally outside of the paint. It's the worst shooting performance ever. LeBron's got one of the worst 3-point percentages ever in NBA Finals history. Well, I think playoff history as well. He's shooting terrible. I'm sorry. He can jack up 190 shots and have 40 points per game, but see how many shots he's jacking up and how many misses he has? Good for him. Let him, like I said, go to a zone, double team him. Don't let him come inside because that's what they're going to want to do is use their size against you, overpower you, overmatch you. Now they figured out, finally, Kerr did and changed it up a little bit, went with a little bit smaller lineup, went with more switching and double teams, better switches, and you see what happened in Game 4. Can't wait for Game 5 tomorrow night on ABC, 7 o'clock. Will be your pregame. I think tip at 8, something like that, along those lines. So, great series. Very intrigued. NBA Finals, Game 5 tomorrow night. College World Series, as I said, we're on it. We're underway. Very first game, Hoggies, the Razorbacks, Woo Pig, Omahogs, as we like to call them. Get the whole entire College World Series, Championship Series itself underway. There are 8 teams left. Last weekend was Super Regional. 16 now down to 8. Arkansas wins their Super Regional. Now, like all these other teams, and a couple crazy storylines from last week. Arkansas kind of kicked off the College World Series, the Super Regionals, with 18 runs in their very first game. Follow that up with the very last game of that Super Regional, which was TCU A&M having a makeup game because of rain, so they had to play a little bit day later. That game went into 16 innings and went through midnight. It ended about 1:15, 1:30 here in Fort Worth. Thank gosh I wasn't having to cover it. I'd have been so bored out of my mind and so like, is this ever going to end? Someone win, please. But 16 innings later, bottom of the 16th, TCU pulls it out, upsets, I shouldn't say upsets, but beats another SEC team, or there would have been 5 SEC schools in the Elite 8, the College World Series Championship Series. But there are 4 still. So half of the field is SEC schools. Arkansas, Florida on one side, Vandy and LSU on the other. Boy, wouldn't that be something to see in all SEC final? Boy, we've been there almost in every sport. You can just see how the SEC literally can not only overpower you, outquick you, and be faster than you, but they're also talented all the way around. Not just in football or basketball or track. Look at baseball coming around, and just as in the women's softball, Florida won. So now you got the men take going on. And what if it was Florida men and Florida women winning both baseball and softball? You get my point. The SEC is more than just football, people. So anyone else outside the SEC, get over it. I'm sorry that your conference isn't as powerful as ours. It's just the truth. Truth speaks. On deck, Triple Crown. Who called it? Yes, I did. The American Pharoah. The man. The horse of last week of this year. Undefeated. The Arkansas Derby winner, baby. That's what we love to see in Arkansas. We were going to cheer for American Pharoah here in Arkansas. Of course, I'm in Dallas, Texas now. But I'm in Arkansas, so you get my point. Wasn't even close. The closest race was Kentucky Derby. Destroys everyone at the Preakness in the mud and rain by 7 poles, 7 links. Then he pretty much does the same thing at Belmont. It's a longer race. It's from start to finish, baby. I mean, you can't do much better than that. From start to finish, every race, I don't think he ever even trailed. He was the front runner in everything. Took the Belmont like it was nothing. Made all these horses say, hey, y'all can go run another race because it's for second. I mean, it's not even close. It's like, hey, I'm number one. I'm in the class of my own. I'm up here with the secretary. Obviously, secretariat, so on and so forth, affirmed. Y'all are in a different category. I am the top of the top. And I called that, and I saw it coming. Every year you kind of have this feeling, but this was the one. Not as many horses this year, not as many contenders, honestly. And that's going to happen in some years. Whether you win the NBA title, the NFL, you win the Super Bowl, Tiger win, or whoever wins the U.S. Open, sometimes the field just either not on par, or they're just not playing that well that year, or they're just not as competitive, just all the way around. Sometimes, look at the NBA, injuries to the Cleveland Cavaliers. You've really thought that maybe this was going to be a sweep, or maybe done in 5 games. I think if they play their top level, which like computer-wise, robot-wise, if they could do that, play 110% every game, and they play their best every game, I think it would have been a sweep. I think it would have been a 5-game series at most. But you look how terrible the Warriors play, and any given Sunday, as they say, any fight, any boxer, any day, anyone can win. But American Pharoah was at the top of his game every race. He was that robot I spoke of. That he was that machine, that computer that said, okay, I'm going to run 110%, see what will happen if I run my best every time. And then you got to see what happened. If he runs his best every time, he's up there with a class of his own, and there is no other no other competitor that can touch him. He might as well run with the firms and the secretariats, and they can have their own race. Obviously, not going to happen, but you get my point. So, great to see history. Glad to see one in my lifetime. May not see another one for 20, 30 years. This, though, could be the decade like the 70s where you have 2, maybe 3 winners. It just kind of comes in these little spurts. The 30s, there were 4. The 40s, there were 3. Of course, back then, even though horse racing was really in its prime, maybe there weren't as many competitors back then. Not as many great horses as there are now. Not as much money, obviously, going into it. Even though it was a huge sport back then, like boxing was, not a lot of people have money like they do have money now. So a lot of people can put forth effort and put forth time and the money to make anything great, or buy the right horse and train them till they're at the top level. And so it's hard. It's like golf now. You never know who's going to win. It could be anyone, anytime. So, but this could be the decade. Like I said, 30s there were 4. The 30s there were 4. The 40s there were 3, and the 70s there were 3. So, be interesting to see if there are maybe another, if not 2 more, Triple Crown winners here to finish this decade out. But great big ups to American Pharoah. Thanks for coming through. I think I won like $10 betting on the horse that was supposed to win. On deck, Women's World Cup. Has anyone watched? I have. I've watched every match. It's only been 2 that the Americans have played in, but it's nothing like the men last year. The men last year somewhat filled up Jerry's World. Literally had the game on at Jerry's World. I forgot, may have been one of their knockout matches. I can't remember what match it was. Maybe every match they had it there at Jerry's World. But they had 20, 30,000. I forgot how many thousands of people they had at literally where the Cowboy Stadium, Jerry's World. They filled that place up. Not filled it, but you get my point. It's where now we did a little article story down here how it went from that for the men to where the women. Well, they're not even doing that for the women, but local bars are filling up here and there. Literally nothing like last year. I remember last year's. Like it was literally like a Super Bowl for everybody. Your team was in it. Everyone's team was in it because everyone's team is USA. So everyone was going out to their local bar watching these matches, whether it be at lunch, at night, and then filling those bars up. And then all the way up to where they're filling up Jerry's World here in Dallas. putting thousands and thousands of people in a football stadium to watch soccer, or football, as they call it in other countries. Crazy, crazy, crazy how this phenomenon slowly but surely rolled on, and how the women's game has slowly but surely picked up. In every sport, look at the softball, as I said. It's starting to raise levels of interest. Golf, even over the last 10, 15 years. Now women's soccer, certainly. And that's the thing. If you're good, whatever the sport may be, people are going to pay attention. They're going to watch more, obviously more often and more prone to if your team sucks and it's not good. I'm sure if you go look at the Broncos, the Colts, the Patriots, the Packers, so on and so forth, teams, their attendance compared to like the Raiders, the Titans, the Buccaneers, the Browns, it ain't going to be close. Your team's doing good, people pay attention. Your team's not doing good, they really don't care. A lot of fans are bandwagon fans. Unlike me, I'll watch no matter what. I'm there through the thick and thin. If you're my favorite team, I'm there. So now that the women's really on the top of the world, even though they've been really number one ever since that goal kick in '99 that won it for them against China, and they've just kind of picked off and been picking up ground ever since. I think they've been 1, 2, top 3 in the world over the last 10, 15 years. So they've been there. It's actually getting them on TV now, which they have been, putting them in the limelight like they did 4 years ago in the World Cup. Then that was great. Then the year later, you get the gold medal. You get the Olympics. So you get World Cup, then the Olympics. You get your two biggest soccer tournaments there are in the world back to back. World Cup and then Olympics. And you go second place and almost won, and then you do win. So that's where I think the ground's picked up, and unfortunately it's been a 3-year gap, but then luckily last year you had the men to kind of pick that ground back up again. They're doing a lot better. Playing great now, really, the men are. Just beat Germany in a friendly, who won the World Cup last year. A week or two ago beat, I think it was, I can't remember now who exactly they beat, but the first time they've ever beat them. First time they've ever beaten them, and the men beat them. And some of their best players weren't playing. Dempsey, so on and so forth, because they're getting ready for other matches. They're getting ready for next year. They're playing their young guns. They're younger guys, and these guys are playing good. Same with the women's soccer. Alex Morgan, a little bit banged up. So you put in Sydney Leroux, another up-and-coming player. Abby Wambach's 35 years old now. So she's going to be able to play well, but she isn't going to have the endurance like she used to have. So you get my point. You have people to replace these all-time greats with other up-and-coming, most likely all-time greats. So the women's soccer really taken off in the group of death as what the men were last year. They just love to see the USA fail, but we have almost literally the heart of a champion, luckily, still 100, 200 years into our existence. We don't give up. We have that fight. So we're number 2 in the world. Sweden's in our bracket. They're number 5 in the world, I should say, group. And Australia's in our group. That's 3 top 10 teams in one group. Sweden's 5th. Australia, I forgot to look up there. They're 7th, 8th, or 9th in the world. USA 2. That is ridiculous. USA wins their first match against Australia, so they got the lead in their group. And luckily, Sweden loses a 2-0 lead to Nigeria, not even a top-ranked team at whatsoever, and tie, so that hurts them big time. USA last night against Sweden, they tie it up, so that's huge for USA. Now they've got it locked up. All they have to do is play Nigeria and beat them come, I think it's Monday or Tuesday, and it's over. They've won their group, and they can move on and won't have to play another significantly hard team, a team that won their group, I think, to the semifinals. So it's huge. Would pay dividends to win your group, whatever group you're in. So the Women's World Cup, big ups to those girls as well. Love to go to one sometime, especially the fact that this one's in Canada. So really, if you have the chance, go up there. If you're up in the north, go see this. This is something you may never see again. Yeah, it's soccer and it's women's soccer, but that's still awesome. 10, 15 years from now, you'll be able to say, hey, I saw the USA women in a World Cup. That's significant. Now, what is not significant is the way Tiger Woods has been playing, and that is on deck. Story of the week. Tiger Woods, y'all, shoots an 85 career warriors last weekend. Third 80 ever, which let me put that in retrospective. Jack Nicklaus had 16 rounds in the 80s. 8 of those did come before he was 40, so 40, I should say 40 is that cutoff mark. He had 8 rounds of 80 before 40, and then he had 8 rounds of 80 after 40. This is only Tiger's 3rd round in the 80s. That's pretty good. And this, but is the last, or I should say the first time he's ever placed last in a tournament. Never been last after the cut. That is. I guess you can't really say he was last in the tournament because there were players that didn't make the cut, so those players would be behind him. But as far as making the cut, this is the first time Tiger has ever finished last. So what's happening? Are the wheels coming off? This is kind of like, I think 2011 or 12. Really, to me, this is what it's like. He's trying to find that swing again. He's trying to find, because he's to a whole new swing. As you recall, after the whole incident 2008, 9, 10, him trying to come back. Well, 2013, he finally gets that swing correct in the way he wants it with his last coach. And he wins 5 times and wins Player of the Year in 2013. Well, then he decides to check. Whatever. I don't get this. Michael Jordan never said I want to change my shit. People don't do. When you have something that works, Tiger, like you did in the early 90s, or I should say the late 90s or early 2000s, whether it would be with Butch Harmon or Hank Haney, you should have stayed with one of them. Or if you didn't like them, leave them. But keep that swing. Did you win 4 majors in a row with that swing, or did you not? Did you win 10, 11 times in a season, or did you not? I'm pretty sure you did. All with that swing, not these new swings. Are you just trying to say, oh, I can change my swing any way I want it and I can win? Maybe if you already had 100 victories and 20 majors and 20 runner-ups in majors or whatever. You don't have those numbers yet. So what are you're trying to get to 18. You're on 14 and stuck there. I mean stuck at 14. You should be at 15 or 16 by now. And you would be if you've never would have changed your swing. What are you doing? Do you not see this is hurting you? This is putting you further behind and trying to get to those numbers? You will never get to those numbers if you keep changing swings, because you're going to have to keep going through this process. You are not a robot. As much as you used to be, and as much as we thought you were back then, you're not that player anymore. I hate to have to suck it up and tell you that myself, because I love you to death. Because there was Michael, there was Elway. You get my point. They're 1A, 1A. You were the 2. Now they're done. You're all I got left, and you're starting to fade and fade quick, my man. What are you doing with these swing changes? No one ever. I know multiple people like to do swing changes. Jack, all of them kind of did minor swing changes. And a swing change is minor when it comes to how far you go with your swing is off plane. Whether between you could go through all 4 of your different swing changes, you wouldn't see much of a difference, is my point, for the non-every average ordinary day fan that's like, well, what's a swing change? Well, he's not changing much, people. Maybe the plane in which you take it back and come through. You get my point. You're not doing too much different. That's why I don't understand why he can tweak it a little after all those wins in the early 2000s, but why would you want to completely revamp it? If you take the club almost straight back and now you're wanting to take it further inside. I'm not going to go through it all, but no, what are you doing? I don't get it. Quit it. I see what happens when you do play good with the swing change. You did have like a 67 before the 85 or whatever it was. That's what I just don't get, and that's what's going to happen, though, with these swing changes. You're going to shoot 65 one day, you're going to shoot 75 the next day. You do what you want. It's up to you. Hopefully you at least tie him. Maybe you get 4 more majors. It's really starting to seem like that's not going to happen anymore as much as I wanted it to happen. It really does sadden me. It hurts my feelings, really. Just like, God, wow, it hurt like it, as in he's doing it to me. But I'm sad for you. You should have known or thought about this forever ago. Why? And still now. Why aren't you going back to Haney or Harmon? Suck up your freaking pride and your joy, my man, and go back to someone that's actually successful. Or if you don't want to, then at least go back to that swing. You've done it before. You know how it works. You know what to do. Now with the U.S. Open, one of the hardest courses you're ever going to face, I don't know if you've ever even played the course before coming up. Crazy course. Look it up. It's up in Washington. I just don't know what. Obviously, this isn't going to be the tournament. You're just going to keep seeing where you're at. You're going to see where your game's at, like a hot check or heat check in the NBA. When you're making all these shots, you're kind of throwing up again to see if you still got it. And that's what you're doing now. You're just kind of going out there to see what you can do if you can finish the tournament. I'm glad, and I am proud of you this. After that 85, you didn't just walk off the court, my shoulder hurts and my knee hurts and I withdraw from the tournament. I'm glad you didn't do that. I'm glad you at least came back out on Sunday and shot whatever you shot and played another round of golf. You didn't quit. That's a new step, honestly, for you, my man. You've been a big quitter over the last few years. Once again, saddens me to see you go this way. I wish you the best. I hope you the best. I hope I get to the level where I can actually conversate with you and we can talk about these things one day. Maybe even is 10 years from now when I finally get to that level and unfortunately you have gotten to the level where you're pretty much not competing in majors anymore. Or maybe you still got your one away by then and we can talk about these swing changes and why you always change them and so on and so forth. But I hope I get that chance. Because some people need to start asking you the real questions about what's going on and why you've changed and why you haven't gone back. Because I'd get real with you. I'm a real question asker. I'm not going to bullshit around. These are going to be real questions coming out of my mouth the way I feel and what other people want to know. And that's what any question, any interview should be. Not, well, Tiger, so how's your knee? Or, so where do you think you're at? Well, what do you think he's going to say? Come on. Anyway, it's on deck. This is Josh Smith. Thanks for listening. I'll be back next week. We'll wrap up the finals. I'll let you know if I was right about that. got you. The NBA draft coming up, U.S. Open next week. Don't forget the the College World Series going on. Watch as much as you can about that. We'll wrap that up. The women's soccer, the World Cup, that'll be winding down through the rest of this month and into the first part of July. You got the Stanley Cup playoffs, which I hadn't talked about. Boy, that's tied up to 2 Stanley Cup playoffs. Boy, oh boy, we've got sports all around. Obviously, and not, which is great, an uneventful summer. We got plenty of going on in June. You gotta love it. We'll get a month off really in July, just a little bit of a break before the football season, baby. It's on deck. I'm Josh Smith. We'll see you next week.